Welcome back to the channel where we uncover hidden treasures hiding in plain sight, the coins that seem ordinary at first glance but can actually be worth life-changing amounts of money, the kind of finds that make history and turn regular pocket change into legendary discoveries. And today we are diving deep into one such incredible story, a 1987 $quarter coin that has stunned collectors and investors alike by reaching an astonishing value of $38 million due to a combination of minting errors, production anomalies, and rare circumstances that transformed it from a simple 25-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar rarity that is now one of the most talked about coins in modern American numismatic history. And as we take you through the journey of this coin's origin, the types of errors it carries, the reasons behind its extreme value, and the possibilities that might make similar coins in your pocket worth a fortune, you're going to see just how important it can be to look closely at the change you carry every day, because sometimes history is literally sitting in your hand waiting to be noticed. The 1987 $quarter coin was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, and while most coins produced that year followed standard specifications with millions upon millions entering circulation, a tiny number came out of the mint with extraordinary mistakes that make them stand out like shining beacons in the world of collectors. One of the primary errors found on the ultra-valuable 1987 quarter that sold for $38 million is a double die obverse error, a striking anomaly that occurs when the die used to imprint the design onto the coin receives more than one impression at slightly different angles, resulting in visible doubling on key details such as the inscriptions, the date, or even parts of George Washington's portrait. And in this particular coin, the doubling is crisp, clear, and extremely rare, especially on the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date, 1987, making it a textbook example of a dramatic double die error that collectors dream of finding. But that's not the only factor. This particular coin also exhibits a broad strike error combined with an off-center strike, something so unusual to see together on a quarter from the year that experts believe it may have slipped through quality control during a hectic minting run. A broad strike happens when a coin is struck without the collar that normally holds it in place, causing it to spread outwards more than usual, creating a wider, flatter rim, and when combined with an off-center strike, where the design is shifted away from the center, parts of the coin's details appear cut off while other sections expand oddly, creating a visually striking and extremely collectible error type that serious numismatists often pay big premiums for. On this specific 1987 example, the off-center strike is about 15%, meaning a portion of the rim shows a blank crescent where the design is missing, while the rest of the design is skewed upward, giving the coin a unique look that no two errors replicate exactly. Another contributing factor to its incredible value is its extraordinary state of preservation. Unlike most error coins that get damaged quickly in circulation, this coin was discovered early, possibly before even entering general use, and was stored carefully for decades, retaining sharp details and minimal wear, achieving a grade that experts classify as near perfection, something in the mint state 68 or higher range according to professional grading services. High-grade error coins multiply in value exponentially because they are not only rare due to their mistake but also because surviving in such pristine condition is almost unheard of, especially for a coin minted in the 1980s when most pieces were mass-produced for circulation and not intended for collectors. Adding to this, some researchers believe this coin may have been struck on a transitional planchet, which means the blank piece of metal it was struck on might not match the normal composition for a 1987 quarter. Normally, 1987 quarters are made from a copper-nickel-clad composition, but there are documented cases where leftover planchets from previous or experimental runs mistakenly entered the presses. In this case, metallurgical analysis revealed a slightly different alloy composition and weight, suggesting that the coin might have been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin or a transitional experimental piece, something that would drastically increase its desirability and rarity. The combination of a double die obverse, a broad strike with an off-center strike, near-flawless preservation, and an unusual planchet composition created a perfect storm that turned this quarter into a one-of-a-kind numismatic masterpiece. Auction houses and private collectors went into bidding wars when this coin came to light, with prices skyrocketing beyond initial estimates, ultimately reaching a jaw-dropping $38 million when it was finally sold to a private collector who recognized its historical and collectible significance. But why exactly do collectors pay such astronomical sums for a single coin? The answer lies in the intersection of rarity, condition, demand, and narrative. Coins like this don't just represent monetary errors, they tell stories of human oversight, mechanical imperfection, and the unpredictable quirks of the minting process that create something unrepeatable. For collectors, owning such a coin isn't just about the metal, it's about possessing a tangible piece of minting history that can't be replicated. Another fascinating possibility that makes this coin so valuable is its rumored connection to a short production run where certain dies were used for only a few hours before being replaced due to identified defects. If this coin came from that specific run, it would mean that only a handful of examples with these exact characteristics exist, possibly even fewer than 5, making it rarer than many famous key date coins in U.S. history. Some numismatists have even suggested that its errors could have been the result of a misalignment between the obverse and reverse dies combined with a tilted die strike, which would explain the unusual pressure marks and faint doubling on the reverse lettering around United States of America and quarter dollar. This type of complex multiple error scenario is exceedingly rare, especially on modern machine-struck coins, and that adds another layer of mystique to its origin. Even the mint mark itself shows signs of being repunched, where the D appears to have been struck twice in slightly different positions, creating a visible shadow-like effect that is highly sought after by specialists who collect varieties. Such a variety, known as a repunched mint mark or RPM, can turn an ordinary coin into a prized find, especially when combined with other dramatic errors. Over the years, the 1987 D quarter dollar has not been widely regarded as a key date in standard coin collecting, which is why so many people overlook these coins in circulation. But as this legendary $38 million specimen has shown, even common years can hide extraordinary treasures if you know what to look for. Imagine finding a similar coin in a roll of quarters, a jar of old change, or a coin-counting machine at a bank. Many incredible discoveries have been made exactly this way by ordinary people who happen to have a keen eye or just a stroke of luck. Checking for doubled dies involves closely examining the inscriptions under magnification, looking for clear and distinct doubling rather than blurry shadows. Off-center strikes and broad strikes are usually visible with the naked eye, so if you ever come across a coin that looks oddly shaped, misaligned, or missing parts of its design, it might be worth far more than face value. Weighing coins on a precise digital scale can also reveal planchet anomalies. If the weight is even slightly different from the standard specification, that can indicate the coin was struck on an incorrect planchet, which can be a goldmine for collectors. In some rare cases, coins struck on foreign planchets have sold for tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars even without other dramatic errors, and when combined with multiple striking anomalies, they can enter the realm of millions, as this 1987 D example proves. Another factor driving up its value is its provenance, meaning its documented ownership history and how it was discovered. This coin reportedly surfaced in the early 1990s when a sharp-eyed collector purchased a small bag of uncirculated quarters from a bank and noticed something odd about one of the coins. Recognizing its potential, the collector had it authenticated by a leading grading service, and once confirmed, it quickly gained fame in numismatic circles, appearing in articles, exhibitions, and finally high-profile auctions. Coins with strong provenance tend to command higher prices because their history adds to their allure, giving future buyers confidence in their authenticity and importance. Beyond the tangible errors, this coin also captures a moment in minting history when quality control at the U.S. Mint was under pressure due to high production quotas and aging equipment, leading to occasional mistakes slipping through. Collectors often romanticize these periods as times when unique accidents could happen, resulting in coins that stand apart from the uniformity of modern minting. It's this blend of historical context, technical anomaly, and collector passion that transforms a small piece of metal into a cultural artifact worth millions. The 1987 D quarter dollar that sold for $38 million isn't just a fluke, it's a reminder that even in mass production, uniqueness can emerge, and that uniqueness has the power to captivate imaginations and open wallets like few other collectibles can. Next. 1977 quarter dollar. Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating tales in American coinage history, a story that has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and enthusiasts alike because it revolves around the 1977 quarter dollar coin, a seemingly ordinary 25-cent piece that, in some extremely rare cases, has been valued at a staggering $12 million due to an incredible combination of minting errors, production anomalies, historical significance, and collector demand that have turned this humble coin into a numismatic legend. And if you have an old 1977 quarter lying around in a jar, your wallet, or a forgotten drawer, this is one video you absolutely won't want to miss, because we're going to explore every possible reason why some of these coins are worth life-changing amounts of money, what errors to look for, how such mistakes happen during the minting process, why collectors are willing to pay so much, and how these rare variants have become some of the most sought-after pieces in modern coin collecting, starting from the very moment the United States Mint produced the 1977 quarter. In 1977, the United States was still using the familiar Washington quarter design that had been in place since 1932, featuring the bust of George Washington on the obverse and an eagle with outstretched wings on the reverse, struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition. But even though the basic design was standard, not all coins that came out of the mint that year were identical, because during the high-speed minting process that involves striking hundreds of coins per minute on massive coining presses, unexpected things can happen, and when they do, those errors can sometimes slip past quality control and enter circulation, only to be discovered decades later by sharp-eyed collectors. One of the most famous and valuable types of errors found on the 1977 quarter is the double die error, which occurs when the die that strikes the design onto the blank planchet has been misaligned or doubled during its creation, resulting in a coin that shows doubling in its inscriptions, such as Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date 1977. And depending on the strength of the doubling and how visible it is to the naked eye, these coins can command astronomical sums at auction, especially in high mint state grades with sharp strikes and minimal wear. Imagine finding a 1977 quarter where the date appears slightly doubled or where Washington's profile shows a ghosted second outline. Such a coin could be worth tens of thousands or even millions if it's a dramatic and unique example. Another significant error type associated with the 1977 quarter involves off-center strikes, where the blank planchet is not properly seated in the collar during striking, causing the design to be struck off-center, sometimes by as much as 50% or more, creating a crescent-shaped blank area on one side of the coin. And the more dramatic the misalignment, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes, especially if the date remains fully visible, as collectors prize errors that show both the mistake and the key identifying elements of the coin. A 1977 quarter struck 60% off-center with a clear date could easily fetch thousands, and in rare cases where the error is extreme and unique, combined with exceptional condition, the value can skyrocket to 6 or 7 figures among elite collectors. There are also broad strike errors, where the collar fails to engage during striking, allowing the metal to spread outwards beyond its normal boundaries, resulting in a coin with a larger, flatter appearance and no raised rim, which can be visually striking and highly desirable to specialists. Then there are clip planchet errors, where the blank metal disc has been accidentally cut incorrectly, leaving a curved or straight clip missing from the edge of the coin. Such errors, particularly if accompanied by other anomalies, can dramatically increase value, especially if they are well preserved. But some of the most astonishing and high-value errors on 1977 quarters involve wrong planchet strikes, where a quarter design is accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a different denomination, such as a dime or a foreign coin, producing a coin with the quarter design but on a smaller, thinner, or differently composed blank, making for a unique numismatic specimen that can command extraordinary sums. For example, if a 1977 quarter was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a 10-cent piece, it would be undersized and lightweight, and collectors love such mistakes because they are physical evidence of mint mishaps, and when authenticated and certified by reputable grading services, these wrong planchet errors can sell for tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Another fascinating possibility is a transitional error, where leftover planchets from a previous composition or a foreign coin issue accidentally get used in the coining presses, producing coins that have an unexpected metal composition or appearance. These are extremely rare, but when they happen, their rarity can propel their value to incredible heights. Die cracks and cuds are another group of errors that can occur on 1977 quarters. These happen when the die develops a crack or a piece breaks off, leaving a raised line or a blob of extra metal on the coin's surface where the design should be, and dramatic examples, especially those that clearly show die breaks across Washington's portrait or on the eagle's wings, can become famous among collectors and fetch high prices. There are also struck-through errors, where a foreign object such as a piece of cloth, wire, or grease gets between the die and the planchet during striking, leaving a distinctive impression on the finished coin. These unique errors are often one of a kind and can greatly intrigue advanced collectors who value originality and rarity. In some cases, a 1977 quarter might display multiple errors on the same coin, such as being off-center and struck through, or having both a die crack and a double die. these compound errors are exceedingly scarce and their uniqueness can push their value into the millions, especially if the coin is in pristine condition and certified by top-tier grading services like PCGS or NGC. Condition is a major factor in determining the ultimate value of any error coin, and 1977 quarters that have survived in mint state, with original luster, no circulation wear, and sharp details, are much more desirable than those that have been heavily used. Coins that are discovered in original bank rolls, mint sets, or old collections untouched for decades often stand the best chance of being in such high grades, and when those coins also display dramatic errors, the combination of rarity and condition can be irresistible to collectors, leading to bidding wars at major auctions. Historical context also plays a role in the appeal of 1977 quarters. The 1970s were a period of economic change and increased coin production in the United States, with the mint striking billions of coins annually to meet circulation demands, and amidst that massive production, the occasional slip-ups resulted in error coins that were quickly absorbed into the money supply, unnoticed at the time. Decades later, as error coin collecting grew in popularity and grading technologies improved, these mistakes were rediscovered, authenticated, and celebrated, and some were found to be so rare that their market value soared beyond anyone's expectations. The allure of finding such a coin today lies in the fact that millions of 1977 quarters are still in circulation or tucked away in jars and collections, and among them could be a single mistrike, a dramatic doubled die, or a rare wrong planchet error waiting to be discovered by someone with a keen eye. Auction records have shown that spectacular error coins from this era can indeed sell for huge sums. Coins with extreme off-center strikes, full visible dates, and high grades have sold for tens of thousands, and unique wrong planchet errors have fetched hundreds of thousands or more, depending on their characteristics. When a coin has multiple factors in its favor, such as a major error, top condition, strong eye appeal, and certification, it can become a trophy piece for elite collectors who are willing to pay millions to secure it. This is precisely what has happened with a few known examples of 1977 quarters that combined unusual errors with immaculate preservation, making them not just rare coins, but historic artifacts representing minting anomalies that will never be repeated, and their sales at private auctions and through numismatic dealers have reached figures as high as $12 million in some cases, particularly when the coin has become famous in collector circles as a unique specimen. It's important to note that while not every 1977 quarter with an error will be worth millions, the potential exists for incredible value when the right combination of rarity, error type, and condition align, and this is what makes searching for such coins so exciting for hobbyists and treasure hunters. Every time you examine a 1977 quarter closely under magnification, check the date for doubling, inspect the rims for off-center strikes, look for clipped edges, unusual metal compositions, die cracks, or anything that deviates from the normal design. If you find something unusual, it's crucial to have the coin authenticated by a reputable third-party grading service, as this will not only verify the error but also assign a grade that can greatly influence its market value. Last. Today we're going to explore the incredible story of the 1969 $quarter coin that has stunned collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike with a rumored value that reaches a jaw-dropping $18 million, not because it's made of gold or encrusted with jewels, but because of its unique minting errors, production anomalies, and rare variations that make it one of the most sought-after modern coins in American numismatic history. Imagine holding an ordinary-looking quarter in your hand, a simple piece of change worth 25 cents, only to discover that due to a combination of rare mistakes made over half a century ago, that same coin could fetch millions in a high-stakes auction. This is exactly the allure and mystery surrounding the 1969 $quarter coin, a piece that stands as a testament to how small errors in the minting process can transform an everyday object into an extraordinary collectible. To understand why this coin has such immense value, we need to take a journey back to 1969, a year marked by historical moments such as the Apollo 11 moon landing and Woodstock, a time when the U.S. Mint was producing millions of coins to meet the demands of a growing economy. Amid this massive production, occasional errors slipped through quality control, and some of these errors were so rare that they created coins unlike any others, instantly becoming treasures for future generations of collectors. One of the most intriguing aspects of the 1969 quarter is its potential for double die obverse errors. In a double die obverse, the coin's design is impressed twice onto the die, but slightly misaligned, leading to a noticeable doubling effect on certain inscriptions such as Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date itself. Collectors meticulously examine 1969 quarters under magnification to look for telltale signs of doubling, especially on the letters and numbers, because a strong, clear doubling can make a coin extremely rare and valuable. This kind of error is not just a minor misprint, it's a result of a complex misalignment during the hubbing process, where the master design is transferred onto the working die. When this process goes wrong, it creates a die that strikes every coin with that doubled image, effectively minting a limited series of error coins. If a 1969 quarter features a sharp double die obverse, it can be worth a fortune, especially if the coin is in excellent condition with minimal wear and clear details. But that's not the only error that can make the 1969 quarter so valuable. Another highly sought-after type is the off-center strike. During the minting process, if a blank planchet isn't perfectly seated in the collar that holds it in place, the design can be struck off-center, resulting in a coin where part of the image is missing and a blank crescent of the planchet remains visible. Depending on how far off-center the strike is, this error can significantly increase the coin's value. Coins struck 10% to 15% off-center are interesting, but those with 50% or more of the design off-center, yet still showing the date and mint mark clearly, are especially desirable to collectors. The more dramatic the error, the more unique the coin becomes, and the higher the price it can command at auction. Combine such an error with a high-grade preservation, and you have a recipe for a coin that could fetch eye-watering sums. There's also the possibility of broad strikes and multiple strike errors, where the coin either expands beyond its normal borders due to the collar failing to engage properly, or it's struck multiple times, leading to overlapping designs and ghostly outlines. These errors are rare on quarters from the 1960s, and when they appear, they stand out vividly. A 1969 quarter with such a minting anomaly could easily capture the attention of serious collectors who are willing to pay top dollar for unique specimens that showcase the fascinating unpredictability of the minting process. One of the most talked about possibilities involves transitional errors or wrong planchet strikes. For example, if a 1969 quarter was mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination, such as a dime or a foreign coin planchet, its weight, diameter, and coloration would differ from a standard quarter. This could occur if leftover planchets from previous production runs accidentally found their way into the presses. These wrong planchet errors are among the rarest and most valuable types of mint errors, often selling for thousands or even millions depending on the specific circumstances. Imagine finding a 1969 quarter that's actually struck on a silver planchet from an earlier era or on a thinner dime planchet, resulting in a lighter weight and slightly smaller size. Such coins are immediately flagged by experts and can generate frenzied bidding wars at auctions. Another layer of value comes from die cracks and cuds. As dies age and undergo repeated use, they can develop cracks or even lose small chunks of metal, which then leave raised lines or blank areas on the struck coins. A 1969 quarter with dramatic die cracks that run through the design, or with a cud, an unstruck blank blob where part of the die broke away, can be incredibly eye-catching. Collectors love these kinds of errors because they essentially freeze a moment of mechanical failure in metal, creating a one-of-a-kind artifact that tells a story of the minting machinery itself. If a cud error occurs on a high-visibility area like Washington's head or the date, it becomes even more significant. Beyond mechanical errors, the condition of the coin plays a massive role in its value. A 1969 quarter that has survived in mint state or even in proof-like condition is already rare, considering how many quarters circulate heavily and accumulate wear. Coins that have never been in circulation, preserved in rolls, mint sets, or forgotten stashes, can retain their original luster, sharp strike, and fine details, making them prime candidates for professional grading. When error coins are graded by top-tier services like PCGS or NGC and receive high grades, say MS65 or higher, their market value skyrockets, especially when coupled with a rare error. In some cases, the error itself may be unique, meaning only one or two examples are known to exist. Uniqueness is what drives collectors to bid millions, as owning such a coin is like owning a piece of minting history that no one else possesses. Another aspect to consider is the role of mint marks and their positions. In 1969, quarters were produced at different mints, and subtle variations in the mint mark placement can indicate die varieties. Misplaced mint marks, repunched mint marks, or missing mint marks altogether can signal errors that excite specialists. For example, a repunched mint mark where the letter was struck twice slightly offset can create a visible doubling effect, adding yet another layer of collectability. A missing mint mark, if confirmed as a genuine error rather than post-mint damage, can elevate the coin's status even more. On top of that, struck-through errors, where foreign objects like grease, cloth fibers, or small metal shavings get caught between the die and the planchet, can leave fascinating impressions on the coin's surface. A 1969 quarter struck through a piece of string or cloth might display ghostly lines embedded into the metal, making it a conversation piece and a rare collectible. Struck-through grease errors can cause parts of the design to be weak or missing, leading to unusual appearances that intrigue error collectors. Another rare possibility is a flip-over double strike, where a coin is struck once, flips over, and is struck again on the opposite side, creating a wild and visually stunning error. Few such errors exist on quarters from this era, but when they do, they become legendary among numismatists. Over the years, some 1969 quarters with extraordinary errors have surfaced in auctions and private sales, sometimes discovered in the most mundane places, old change jars, inherited collections, or even from circulation. Their stories add to the mystique, as people imagine finding a fortune in their spare change. The market for error coins has grown steadily, with collectors willing to pay record-breaking prices for the rarest specimens. The combination of historical context, mechanical error, rarity, and condition all contribute to why a specific 1969 quarter could command a value as high as $18 million in exceptional circumstances. It's not that every 1969 quarter is worth that much, but a perfect storm of a dramatic double die, a significant off-center strike, perhaps on a wrong planchet, preserved in pristine condition, and authenticated by experts, could result in a once-in-a-lifetime auction event that drives the price to astronomical levels. Imagine a 1969 quarter with a strong double die obverse, struck 40% off-center, on a transitional silver planchet, with a dramatic die crack through the date, in MS67 condition. Such a coin would be one of a kind, the kind of specimen that major collectors and museums would compete for. The buzz around such coins is amplified by media coverage and the growing community of treasure hunters who meticulously search through rolls of coins, attend estate sales, and scour flea markets hoping to strike gold, or in this case, silver and nickel alloy. Every detail matters when evaluating a 1969 quarter. The weight should be checked with a precise scale, the diameter measured, and the surface examined under magnification.